and welcome today to the episode 140 from Frecuencias, bajas, charlas musicales. It is a big pleasure for us to be in here again with our English edition today with a guest directly from Germany. We are going to talk with him in a few minutes. When we start in May 2020, I think none of us was thinking on being here after 140 episodes. David, what do you think?
Yeah, it still amazes me that we're still doing this. But you know what I feel and I find great about all of this is the amount of people we have met and the amount of people that this space we created has introduced to other people that are in South America and Latin America now that we have our English edition like all around the world, you know. So I just said that I'm the first one that gets impressed with the quality of the people we have here, and today is not the exception, man. No. Like we have had conductors, we have had performers, and now we're bringing our lens to a different part of the industry that everybody is affected by, but we don't talk much about it. We are always talking about like how I can play better, how I can make more business, how I can do a recital or be hired someone, how I can win an audition. And today we're going to talk about instruments, and I'm sure this is going to be like a great subject because everybody likes to talk about gear, everybody likes to talk about the instruments, everybody likes to talk about the mouthpieces, and having an instrument maker with us of the quality of our guest. Yeah. Like I'm so excited about all of this.
Definitely. And let me invite our audience who are watching in YouTube, Facebook and Instagram to subscribe my YouTube channel to don't miss any of the episodes that we have done until today in Spanish and English. And of course, subscribe and give a click on the bell so that you get the notifications when we put new content online. As you say, today is a very interesting episode for everyone. As you say, this is someone who all of brass players need, which is someone who take care of our babies. And I call this episode Dr. Brass because for me, Matthias Vogt, who is our guest today, is an instrument maker from Germany, also a luthier. He take care of cleaning the instrument, of repair the instrument, but also if you need special pieces or if you need or you want to build a special instrument, he can do it. He have trained for that, and for us it's a very special episode and very nice that to have him here tonight. And we are going to talk with him about a lot of things that it is directly with our instruments. And I will just say thank you, Matthias, for being with us, and welcome to Frecuencias, bajas, charlas musicales.
Thank you very much for inviting.
For us, it's a big pleasure.
Nice pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Great.
So just so we give our audience a little bit of context, like where are you located, and what is it that we're seeing there? Like, tell us a little bit about where you're located and what your shop specializes in, so we get like a little context about what you do.
We are located in Germany, East Germany, round about 2 hours in the south of Berlin. I think Berlin is knowing definitely everybody, and Leipzig is a smaller city, but also big enough. Yes, well, yeah.
And we are seeing in our screen, Matthias, both of us, and a huge amount of instruments which are there. What is that? Because we was talking about, you know, you are an instrument maker, but all those instruments, what is that about?
That's what you see on the picture on the screen is just a small choice of what we have. At first, we are craftsmen. That's our main job. Normally, in our shop, workshop, however it's called, most people think we just only sell instruments. But at first, we are repairing, we make new instruments, we make modifications, we work with our hands. And also over the years, it develops. We had non-professional musicians. We have children who are starting. Also, we have professionals, and some professionals started to ask us to organize some new instruments, use instruments also. And the selling point was getting better, bigger and bigger. So, but always I have to focus on repairing instruments.
Okay, I just said that besides your explanation, that looks like a tuba player's dream. You know?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, so
It's a very nice playroom.
yeah, so I see that room. I was like, man, I would like to be there, just honking on those instruments and just finding like so many options that I see there. So
we generally we make every kind of brass instruments. We are concentrate on brass, from the trumpets to tuba or sousaphone, but a small focus more than low brass tubas and euphoniums. That is the history of my vita. I was working several years ago at Hirschbrunn in Switzerland, and I was producing tubas, and it was the most amazing time I had ever. I was working 7 years for that, and then my hometown is Leipzig, and I decided go back to my hometown, and all the experience I take with in my hometown, and started also to repairing tubas. And many colleagues say, "Oh, I don't want to work on tubas." For many colleagues, it's a hard job. Tuba is a very heavy instrument. Some workshops are very small; they don't have any space, and And for me, it was the experience that no, we have the space, we can do it, and doesn't matter.
That's great.
that's
We're happy.
And in the end, for us, it's no different if we are repairing a tuba or a trumpet. So repairing a trumpet is very easy in comparison with a tuba. So it's between.
So we were talking behind cameras. I think yesterday that you are a tuba player, right? You know how to play the tuba.
Yeah, not really. The history is
so Patricia's
was
lying.
No. It's true. My first instrument was a wood brass instrument. I was coming from clarinet and saxophone.
Okay.
But I decided to learn a brass repairman and brass instrument maker, and I also had lessons trumpet. But with trumpet, it was very bad for me. So it's too small mouthpiece. And one of the teachers say, Matthias, it would be better if you're learning a low brass, maybe trombone or euphonium or tuba. And I decided to learn tuba. So,
and you see the light.
That's all. And but many people ask me what I'm playing now. It's funny. I make no music anymore because since I grow the company, I have no time to play regular and every day. So you have to practice every day or every week or whatever. And I'm working very long, and I have a family with children, and so. But all the staff who working here, they are playing in her free time, horn, trumpet, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's interesting to me. Like it's musicians repairing music instruments. It doesn't get better than that. But I wanted to ask you, like, how does one choose this kind of career? Like, tell us a little bit about what process went, or what is the process for you to become an instrument maker. Like one day you were playing the tuba and or playing an instrument, and does the opportunity present did the opportunity present itself? How did you exactly get into this kind of into this side of the music world?
I was grown up with music, so since in the age of 6, I started flute and wood instruments and so on. I was visiting music school, and my mother was a music teacher. And later on, in the age of 14, in Germany, we call practicum, practical time, for some weeks in holidays and so. And I decided to go to an instrument maker, and it was nice there to work. And since then, I worked all the holidays there a little bit to learn more. And for me, it was very clear. I was a lazy boy in the school, and I don't want to study anything, and I just wanted to do anything with my hands. Another choice was a restorator or a carpenter or something like this. But in the end, I decided to make instrument making. So the combination between music and craftsmanship. Yeah, and then I decided
that's great. That's a good combination between restoring something and
yes,
music
yes,
instruments.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and I
yes.
was thinking also that you grew up like in a very special place where you could go and do that, So you had like instrument makers like close by, and
Yes,
it helps a lot that you
I mean,
have.
the career is a possibility, and
Yes,
to
exactly.
learn how to do it, right?
right. Leipzig as a city is very comfortable also with music. We have a classical focus, and we have lots of music schools and lots of teachers and churches, Gewandhaus, opera, and so on. And
Many orchestras also.
yes, right. And it's really easy to have something with music. Yeah.
No, I'm very curious, and I have two questions. The first one is, we are sitting right now in Washington, D.C., and you are in Germany, and it is in the tuba world, and not only, but mostly in the tuba world, is this struggle in between people who learn here and mainly play piston valves, and people who study in Germany or in Europe generally, and they play rotary. My first question is, from the point of view of an instrument maker, it is a difference between both? And the second question is, which is the worst, how do you say that, estado? How is the worst condition
Yeah.
from an instrument that you get in your workshop in the last years?
Okay. At first, for me as an instrument maker, it doesn't matter to repair piston valves or rotary valves. In our area, in Germany, German language countries, Austria, Switzerland, or Austria, it's on the history much more rotary valves, and the rest of the world a little bit more piston valves. But in a professional section, I realize that also much more is coming rotary valves, especially on the professional way. If you're playing a classical way, like yeah, but to repair, to build, it's no difference. The worst instrument I get, it's very hard to say, because sometimes we see worse instruments. Yeah, very old instruments who are lying in the roof, or are
just there, like,
Yeah.
50 years old, never played, who are not rentable to repair. That's all. But sometimes you have some, what's the German word of the English word of Schatz?
Treasure.
Yeah, okay. Or a value instrument like I don't know, a Boland and Fuchs, for example, for tuba, who are who can be in very bad condition, but can be very valuable to repair it, because the sound is very unique and so on. Everything I would say is we can repair, but in the end is a thing of money and value, the combination.
Yeah.
Maybe a funny thing, I remember we got a trumpet to repair, and we from a beginner, and here in this area we saw prints of the teeth, and the boy was
biting.
Yes. So it seemed he was very frustrated.
Yeah, he don't like to practice, looks like.
Yes.
he was having a hard time.
Yeah, a very hard time.
You know, Matthias, I don't blame him. I started on trumpet, man, and trumpet was never an instrument that I was able to play very well, which is very frustrating, because my father and my brother and my grandpa, they all played trumpet, so I was supposed to be the next trumpet player in the family.
It was the same like me. I can so feel with you.
so in a sense, I understand what that kid was going through.
Yes.
So seeing all those tubas in that room, I have to ask you, man, like, what is it that the Germans are doing in terms of music making that makes them so desirable? In case of the tuba, like, I would say, like, the best tubas made in the world, like the tubas that players are seeking, that they want to play, are German. Why do you think Germany has been like leading that market in terms of instruments, especially in terms of the tuba?
I think it's the apprentice, the way of studying this job, learning this job. We have it called the dual system. That means we have a school, or we have 3 schools in Germany, and where you can learn all the theoretical things and something practical things, and you have to find a company where you can work, and that's the dual system. You learn and work in mainly in the company, and then you go into the school and learn this. And Germany, Czechoslovakia, where it's based in Germany, for example, it is the history, I think, the beginning of the industrial instrument making, and we have a lot of companies also here in Germany. Yeah, and I think that's the reason. And we see in other companies in the world, there's nothing like us, a school system that's sometimes learning by doing. Yeah, and we have
which makes a big difference, right?
yes, right.
So, and the other question I have, like, it's in terms of materials. Uh, what are your tubas made of? And uh, in this part of the question, it's impossible not to talk about the Chinese market that has been flooding the world with instruments, and so that makes the competition a lot more harder because they're coming out with instruments that kind of look like the same, and there are a lot more cheaper to make. What kind of materials do you guys use, and how do you keep afloat? Like how do you keep the business going? How, like, who's buying your tubas?
I think that the material is nearly the same. The base is brass, gold brass, and all the stuff. But I think that the big difference is the process of making the instrument, and also the I cannot say it in Lohn in English. The payment from the worker, for example, in China or in Asia or whatever, the people are not so paid like in Germany or in America or in Europe generally. That's the point, or first point. And in Germany, for example, also in America, the companies, they invest lots of money in developing the instruments. They are working also with professionals together, and it's a very expensive process. And other companies who copy, for example, a BNS or a Miraphone or whatever, yeah, they just copy it, and it looks like, but sometimes we realize that's a big difference. Also, the rotary valves, for example, are sometimes not so good working like the Germans are producing. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I
And
think
maybe not, another point. We have two ways of production. We have also in Germany or in Europe nearly industrial production, which means there is not working robots for this, like machines also. It's also everything handcrafted, but it's a serial production who makes the costs smaller. And we have some small manufacturers who are 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, or whatever, very, very small. And they using, for example, lead to bend the bows. And this is much more expensive, and maybe much. I don't want to say it's better or worse. It's a completely different way of processing. Also, the big companies, for example, Melton, who produce the 197, is very expensive, but it's completely handmade. I'm sure it could make it cheaper if it's not handmade. But also at Hirschbronner, for example, it doesn't exist. But my masterpiece was a sea tuber, for example, and I put the standard model, but the body I was making completely handmade, and then we had to produce the same model with blowing up bows. And both models, in comparison, the handmade version was much more better, because the material is I always say it in German, and maybe Patricia, you can translate it. Das Metallgefüge ist ganz anders. Also die Metallstruktur ist ganz anders.
Also
Das macht den
the
Unterschied.
structure of the metal when it is handmade is different than which is blowing from a machine, from air or water.
This is so fascinating for me, because in contemporary world, like, we don't know where things come from mainly, so we don't know where our food comes from, we don't know where our clothing come from. And now that we're talking about brass instruments, so many times we just go blow through one instrument, we like it, we play it, and that's it. But hearing you talk about all the process involved in building a tuba, like, it's so fascinating to me. And I'm gonna make, I hope this is not a difficult question, but how long does it take to make, for example, a C tuba?
How many hours?
Yeah, or a B flat tuba. How many hours does it take from having, getting the metal in the shop to getting a finished product?
It was in my master times, in my master study times, I had to calculate it. If I remember correctly, it's minimum 200 hours. I think 300 hours.
Yeah. So and that makes a lot of sense with the price.
Yes.
Once you start calculating the many hours that you guys have to spend building an instrument, plus the material, plus the know-how.
Yes.
The knowledge.
Also the machines, and this is what many customers don't see, but they think, okay, a tuba is cost 10,000 euros, and thought maybe the production costs are 1,000 euros, and they earn a lot if they are selling the instrument. But this is not. This is very very short calculated. There's not so much space.
From the winning side.
Yes.
Matthias, I think we talked about yesterday a little bit, and I think our followers will love to see or to have the opportunity to see a little bit of your workshop, because as it is very, as David said, it's very tempting to seeing all these instruments there. Kind of you can grab them, and but I think it will be very interesting for our followers to see a little bit of your workshop, and if you can do for us a small tour, will be fantastic.
Yeah, we can do. I go to the other camera.
Sure.
And then I show.
That's great. Thank you very much.
I just say, I would spend a whole day, just that front row looks amazing.
Definitely.
Just to try it.
Just to sit in there and.
So I will change it. So, okay.
Okay.
Is that better, or is that better?
That's great. If you can hold it that way, that's fantastic.
Okay, perfect. So
thank you.
This is my office, and if someone wants to test instruments, it's a small room. We can close it, and the customers have their piece and can try for their self. This is the trumpet section. We have everything on new instruments, also used instruments. We are buying instruments from private, also from other companies. It doesn't matter. If there are used instruments, then we are try to fix it and sell it to other customers. And there are our trombones, and here are some used tubas, some cheap tubas, also from Germany, from GDR times, like Weltklang or BNS, old BNS. Some other stuff, sousaphone, and here is the tuba section, for example. And everything what we don't have on stock, for example, other brands or something, we can organize, we can order, and we have a good contact to all the producers in the world. Yeah, right. And here is our main part where we mostly earn our money.
Okay,
where we are
Matthias,
working.
looks clean or looks or doesn't? Looks clean.
That looks like a restaurant. maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, for me, it's very important that it's clean. Okay, I will say in Germany, it's nearly midnight. No one is working at the moment. If it's, and so it's very clean. If someone is working here, that one is my place.
Okay.
I was finishing tonight a work because there's nothing lying around. If we sometimes we have two or one or two tubas to the same time to repair. All the workbenches are full of tools and instruments and so on. And here this is a double horn, what we have to repair. We have to clean. Here you can see a little bit how it looks like inside. And this is all the other stuff from the horn. So
Can you explain us what are the tools who are hanging there?
yes,
against the
there
wall?
are to make out the dents. If you
Okay.
have a dent in the bell, you can use this. Yeah, just for the dents. And here's some island. I don't know the word in English. And here are some balls to remove inside the dents in those, in every size. It is, for example, 20.5 millimeters, or the smallest is round about 10 millimeters. Yeah, then we have this machine. I don't know what's happened, what's called in English.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know the name in English either.
Me either, also.
But yeah.
This is, for example, a very, very nice machine, very old, but very effective, from Switzerland. It reminds me every time to the Hirschbrunner times. I was buying it from my last money I had.
Yeah, I think that's like a lathe.
So here's another
yeah,
machine, tools,
Okay.
stuff like this. Here's a remember of the Swiss time. I was still working, so well,
okay.
from my car, and yeah, and then I think we have a yeah, in the back there's a much more darker. I'll put on the light. So here, for example, we have yes. Here we have a room where we can clean all the instrument. We can re-lacquer, we can clean. We have a chemical cleaning here. That's
Okay.
the bath is where we put out all the muds from the instruments and washing and so on. And we have air pressure and something like this.
Okay.
And then here is the polishing room. Polishing is, you see, all the walls are very black.
Yeah.
This is after working here.
Wow.
And if you are working here 8 hours, then you are black. You're completely black.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
this is hard work, and we have a printing machine where we can green some tuba bells and makes the work a little bit easier and so on. You see also here we
It's crazy.
yeah.
It's very interesting for our followers to see how much equipment do you need to do all the stuff, and also to,
Yeah.
I can assume that the time that you need to spend for each activity that you made with the instruments is take a long time, and it takes hours of work.
Yeah,
That's
there's
right.
definitely a
And
lot of crap.
we are a small company, so many other companies or manufacturers have much more machines and also CNC machines and so on.
That's great. So if you don't mind asking you this, Matthias, how many employees do you have in your company?
At the moment, we hold on a minute.
Sure.
Put it back, and I go
We can see you
back to
Yes, that's a good picture.
That's a good picture.
I just love that picture.
That's great.
So, okay, right. I go to the office bank.
Sure.
So at the moment, we are 2 people. So at the moment, we are looking also for new stuff. I think everybody knows the situation the last 2 or 3 years with Corona. This business generally for musicians, also for every instrument maker, a catastrophe. And we was very unsure what has happened in the future, and we didn't look for new employees and so on. And now it seems it goes further. It's very good luck. And now we try to get also a little bit bigger. So, and yeah.
Yeah, I like what I see in your shop. It's like what we call here a one-stop shop, so you can buy a new instrument, you can get your instrument repaired, and also possibly you can get your instrument like modified or even build
Yes.
a new instrument.
Yes.
So one of the questions I have is like, what is it, those things that tuba players nowadays, especially tuba players, because I'm interested like in or any instrument for that matter, what is it that they are asking you to modify? Like you get a tuba player, and what are those usual requests to modify something for them?
The most things are making triggers, and every
Okay.
trigger or the second slide, main slide, whatever, are very unique and special. Every tuba is different. Also, every human musicians has special wishes, needs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then also to remove the mouth pipe and to make other positions, to make holes in the valves, vented valves, for example.
Yeah.
Or sometimes we get very old instruments, for example, Boland and Fuchs, with old rotary valves who are not have not the compensating not enough air pressure inside.
Yeah.
Then we make nearly 80% new instrument on it. That means we take the body, we try to keep the whole body, bell and so on, in as original as possible. We put a new rotary section inside and make new bows and slides on it, for example. That also can professional musicians use this instrument in orchestras.
Yeah, I see that the Vollenfuchs is like a cult instrument, like people that have it have a jewel, like they have a treasure, like you said at the beginning, and it's crazy how.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Matthias, because we don't have every week an instrument maker with us. So, in your opinion, and that is very, kind of special for tuba players, what is the difference that you can see in your experience between a Bolan and Fox from the side of the construction of the instruments and the new modern tubas? Because I mean, we have good machinery today, we have good instruments, good professional instruments, but as David said, the Bolan Fox is kind of a cult that people,
Yeah.
when they have the tuba, they will never get it away. So
Or selling,
selling
they
it.
want to keep it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, in your point of view and experience working with the modern tubas, let's say Bayonets, Melton, Hirschbrunner, and the Bolan and Fox, because you have worked, let's say, many years with modifying or restoring new Bolan and Fox, which is, in your opinion, what it makes this Bolan and Fox so special?
At first, I think this is the sound. It's a special sound, and not everybody likes it. But there are many people also in the comparison who likes it. This is you can't say this is good or this is bad, but no one can make this sound like original Poland. And in my opinion, is also a very big influence in that times who produced Roland. The whole body is nearly handmade, like a 197 from Melton. And this is the body shape is an influence, and also the way of instrument making.
So
That's
yeah.
all. In that times,
materials wise, they don't change a lot.
and
yes.
what is also an influence is, well, yes, the material. It seems that the instruments are much more thinner than in our times. It can be over the 50, 100 years. No one lacquered the instrument in the past. Lacquering was coming later in the modern times to protect the instrument, and it keeps shining. And in the past, a not lacquered instrument was polishing, and the material gets much more thinner. And I think the material itself, the brass, is also a little bit, I would say, different than nowadays.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, great.
So we yeah.
So
yeah.
I have two questions. The first one is venting. So you mentioned that that's one of the main modifications that people ask you. So can you explain to us what venting is? And can you explain to us why performers like to do that in the instrument?
Vented valves is nothing else that there's a small hole in the outside of the valve. I can hold on a minute. I have an example here. It's a hole is not a hole. It's going air outside, and the machine doesn't work. It means there is here in the outside of the body of the valve is a hole inside. And if not, and if you press the trigger, there's air in the system, and if you press the valve, it makes plop. And if you make a vented valve, then it's not so noisy.
So one of the questions I have about that, because I have like this old microphone and I had it vented. Like I was like, okay, I like this process. And my question is like, why don't they do that from the factory? So that is to say, like whenever they're making the instrument, if there's gonna be a plop anyway, whenever you press the trigger, why don't they vent it from the factory?
I don't know.
Good question.
Here in Frecuencias, we make impossible questions. You see?
No, I think in nowadays, if someone is ordering a tuba, including a trigger, mostly the vented valve is including. I think in the past, maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago, I think no one realized it. This is a much more modern thing. And yeah.
All right. Do you have another question?
I have. You go.
Okay. So, man, this is so exciting to me. I discuss with Patricio this subject all the time. It's about like, has the tuba reached its peak in terms of design? That is to say, like, we came up with a good model of tuba that has withstood like the pass of time, and we've been making small modifications here and there with artists. Do you see the tuba changing a lot in the future? Like, what are those things that makers are trying to improve to make better in terms of our instrument? Or is it a thing that you already have this magic, formula and you stick to it? In other words, like, is the industry trying to come out with new things for the tuba, or is it just the way we have it right now?
Yeah.
Am I being too deep?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
He's the specialist.
It's very interesting. I think the development of the tuba is growing faster and faster. I realize in the last 10 years, it came much more better and better instruments on the market. And now it's for me hard to say it in English. Maybe
you
it's
try in German and you try to translate.
Okay, perfect. Also ja, in den letzten 10, 15, 20 Jahren, also ist die Entwicklung der neuen Tuben immer weiter vorangeschritten. Es kommen in immer kürzeren Abständen neue Modelle raus. Also gerade auch, wenn ich dran denke an Miraphon oder an Melton, B&S. Also gerade Melton hat auch in den letzten Jahren ganz, ganz viel zugelegt mit kam die 197, die wurde verbessert. Auch jetzt die neuen Modelle, die 97er, wo es vorher gar nicht gab, die Tradition und solche Sachen.
Let me translate and then we can go forward. So in the last 15, 20 years, the instruments have been developed and improved a lot in terms of tuba. If you see, the 197 was improved a lot. They every year or in shorter times are coming new models like the 97 or the Advance or the 4250. There are more kind of developing in different ways for different instruments. If you think on Miraphone or Melton or B&S, these companies are bringing much more products in shorter period of times.
Ja, ist vielleicht auch ein Resultat, dass alles immer vernetzter ist, auch weltweit letztendlich. Und wenn ich dran denke, früher die Instrumente ja, gab es eine viel, viel größere Periode, wo an den Instrumenten nichts weiter entwickelt wurde oder wo Kleinigkeiten gemacht wurde. Wir haben heutzutage viel, viel mehr Möglichkeiten, auch technisch gesehen, technologisch, um das schneller zu machen. Das ist wie auf dem Automarkt, war das die Entwicklung die gleiche.
So it is a thing of networking and of technology. Today we have a very fast way to communicate. Also, equipment and machinery that it works better, and we can do with the techniques more stuff. If you compare it with the car companies, for example, it's kind of the same, and that is helping to develop the instruments.
Und die Anforderung der Musiker wird auch immer höher. Also man merkt natürlich auch, dass die jungen Studenten, dass das Niveau ist in den letzten Jahren extrem nach oben gestiegen. Genau, und ja.
Yeah, in the past, they have many years where the instrument haven't changed a lot, and today is more faster, and also the level of the performers, it is getting higher and higher, and each performance have special needs or wishes that help the industry to develop.
That's very nice. That was my next point. Like I bet the performers have better input, and they're able to play the instrument at a higher level, so they're pushing the instrument a lot more. So it's like this beautiful combination between better technology and better players.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and also
sorry.
the music tastes of kind of music or changes every time. So if I remember in the past, it was, for example, much more bigger sound, and now it goes more. It seems that it goes more smaller sound, and and that's very interesting also.
In Matthias, in terms of development, because I have sometimes the feeling that is also an economical part in the development, because it's as you say, it's very expensive to develop new stuff. So let's say if someone will have enough money to sit down with you and say, okay, let's rebuild the tuba in many ways so that we can, search for the better combination ever. Let's say it's going to take a lot of money, but would that make sense to do it today, or as instrument maker and with the development from the performance and the instrument that we have today, you will say why to do that? What spend so much money trying to do something that you can choose from the market?
I think at first, you have an idea as a maker, and then you try anything. And then instrument making is sometimes also try and error. You have some machines who can measure sound or response or whatever, frequencies, but the practical things is sometimes completely different than the theory. And then you have anything on mind, you develop, and then the goal is to have an instrument what fits for many other instrument players else. It makes not sense to develop an instrument just for one person. And the next person, you make a new development. You try to have an instrument for a wide range of people. And then you go to a professional musicians, you work together with many other peoples and say, okay, Patrizio, I have a tuba. Can you play it? Can you test it? And you say, oh, okay, that is wrong. This is wrong. I have another idea. And then I go to you and say, okay, can you play? And you say also different things. And you try to translate all the wishes in one instrument. And it's sometimes very hard. And it can be 1 year, 2 years, 2 to 3 years, something like this. And a tuba is much more things what you can change as on a trumpet. On a trumpet, you can change a bell, the form, the metal sheet, mouth, pipe, and maybe anything else, but that's all. And tuba, you have the bell, you have many bows, and so on. And
More space.
yes,
More room to make mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yes,
Exactly.
yes, true, yes, right.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I think that we are not even close to ask Matthias everything what we want to.
Yeah.
But as we know, the hour is already
Short, especially when you're having a good conversation.
exactly.
It's very short.
It's already gone. That is why from here we want to thank you, Matthias, for taking the time. We know that in Germany it's extremely late and you need to work tomorrow. That is why thank you very much for taking the time and being with us and showing us a little bit of your shop and exchange some of your experience. I am sure we will need to arrange a new episode with him because I think it's just a lot that we could discuss and ask. Will be probably in the future will be nice to have you back. And yeah, thank you very much for being here. It have been a huge pleasure. And if you want to say something else, I know to close the episodes today.
Yeah, it was very nice to stay on tune on your blog, and yeah, it was also a big pleasure. And every time else on this channel again, and maybe we can show anything on a workshop or something like this. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for doing this in English. I wish I could speak German as well as you speak English. I would be ahead in life. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Matthias, thank you very much. And thank you very much for everyone who was watching today. We will see you next week again in Spanish with episode 141. Thank you very much and
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye.